Thank you for listening to the Dog Trainers Podcast, a podcast created by dog trainers for dog trainers, or anyone who's ever fallen in love with man's best friend.
Episode 36, Trainers to the Rescue, featuring Bobby Dorafshar. You know what's something that sticks out to me, you guys, as we talk about this is, sorry to cut you off, Bobby.
You go ahead.
There's something that I've heard that's a saying that I really like, and it was, too many people mistake habit for hard work. And I noticed that it's the kind of thing that's easy to do when you get into like the routine of, now I'm doing this and I'm here now. But it seems to me like there are a few special people that I've been lucky enough to know, that you never lose sight of like, okay, well, I've kind of built to this point. Now I'm comfortable. Now it's time to build to the next point and get comfortable, and the next point, and you just kind of keep scaling up. And I wish that more people, especially in this industry, thought like that, because you know there there are a ton of dog trainers in the world today. I don't know if it was different back in the day, who are just kind of okay training like a dog or two here and there, with a Facebook page and an Instagram, but no like a website, like little things. They just don't seem that interested in scaling up and turning up their ability to help things.
True. And I want you to know, when I'm doing all this labor of love work, I'm not getting paid. I'm not putting focus on my business, but my passion brought me business to a point I will be able to easily survive and be able to do the things I want to do. So I had such a huge support from public for people. They love animals. And so that's how that started. And we end up to actually getting so many less animals ending up to the shelter on the area, and all they had to do, put a tag on their dogs or close their gate. So I would start going to the schools on the uh, not a great areas and talk to kids and teach them about not much except how you react when you see a loose dog, what you do, what you don't do. Be a tree, be a rock, don't have eye contact, put a collar and tag on your dog, close your gate when you're leaving the room, fix that gate if you need to. And all of a sudden, the number of the animals on the streets are a lot less.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and my nonprofit even was educational, but I don't know if you've been to the shelter. It's very hard to go to the shelter and not walk out with a dog.
Yeah.
It's so I start rescuing. So all of a sudden, I have over 22 rescue dogs in my house, which is against the law. I only could have three, and I already had my three. So we find them a home to every one of our clients, and these are very different than mobile pet adoption. I couldn't take them to mobile pet adoption because they were ownered, because I rescued them. I was an owner. But we develop New Leash on Life to be stronger, to a point in 2002 I would be able to actually purchase a ranch, 12-acre ranch with a 3-bedroom 4-bathroom house, and we develop a safety haven for the animals we rescued. We made 2 dog park, each one were 3 to 5 acre actually.
Right.
On the little bit of a hillside, we fence them, we grass them, we irrigate them through volunteers. And it was funny because all my own friends, which a lot of them, they were very rich young Iranian friends, they send their teenager, they would drive their teenager over there and they would leave him there for a day. And I had to teach them how to ride tractors, how to ditch a hole, how to do an irrigation system. And actually,
like Uncle
most of them,
Bobby.
not only that, but I just saw one of them around a couple of weeks ago, and he's a huge attorney in Beverly Hills. And this kid, and he still tells me how much he learned about responsibility and being organized. So we develop such a relationship between people and animals, and then I start putting my focus on. So what we did at New Leash on Life, when we did the rescue, I want to do more. I
Right.
want to do so much more.
Right. Real quick, Bobby, you mentioned your background. You mentioned the country you come from. You mentioned how the religion and the belief of that country made it really taboo to even deal with dogs. What was it like, moving to Los Angeles? I know there's a huge Persian community out here in LA. What was it like being the Persian dog trainer?
Well, when I came here, there weren't that many Persian because I came before
Oh,
revolution.
right. Sorry. Yeah.
So I came in January of 1978. Revolution happened in 79. So there were not many Iranian. There were some, but there were not that many of them around here. So my focus, I love the country based off the freedom you have. I love the country because all the options you had. I love the country because you can actually go to the beach and spend the day and go for a walk and nobody going to bother you.
Right.
And so it was such a huge difference. Okay.
Right.
What I missed was my kind of food.
Yeah.
Okay, which is very, very different than I used to it. So how many times you're gonna have hamburger and a pizza? So I always want. I wish they had more restaurants, which right now on every corner. So it was different. The problem I had, my experience controlling the overpopulation back home, was about a truck goes with two people on the back with the gun, with a rifle, and they would shoot any animal they see on the street. And I was 11 years old, 12 years old, riding with a bicycle, and I see the first time I see this situation. So I end up to go to a friend of mine and I borrow his BB gun. And I follow these people with my bicycle with a BB gun in my hand. And when they stopped to shoot a dog, I told the guy, if you shoot, I'll shoot.
Yeah.
I shot.
Wow.
So I hit him right on the bottom of the eye. So I end up to go in jail at the age of 12. And my
Wow.
dad had to pay it off and get me out because I was underage. But had to pay for all the medical. But the funny things about it, after two or three times this situation of me running after them, developed such a reputation in my neighborhood. None of those government agents want to come to the neighborhood because it was a crazy kid with a gun bullshit.
With a BB gun.
And that actually happened. So a passion always something I followed.
Right.
Okay. And yes, my dad wanted me to be a doctor or be an engineer or be an attorney and all those. But my passion was more about helping human, helping animals, and do the things I want to do. So yes, I was a black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
How did you avoid like analysis paralysis? How did you avoid just getting down on yourself and just stop doing things? Because that's something that, I mean, I've struggled with personally. I'm sure everybody in the world has. But I noticed that people who have these huge accomplishments, regardless of like the field that they're in, it's not that they didn't have challenges, because clearly you did and everybody else does. It's just they figured out how to keep moving.
Well, again, when you have a passion, you're not working.
Right.
So you constantly follow your passion. So it's very different about going to work 9 to 5 and you go, you know what, I'm tired of this job. I don't want to sit in this cube. I don't want to do this. And as you know me, I'm not the type of person to sit down. Everybody knows me. Most of the time, I didn't even have an office, or you never find me in my office at work.
Right.
Okay. So all the problems, I mean, I had a lot of financial problems. It was a time I only had $10. I didn't know I should eat or should I put a gas in my car to go see a client.
I've been there.
A client paid me $350 for the 6 weeks course over 80 miles away, and I only have $10, and I'm on the third, session, and I end up to actually put gas in the car. My mom would call me and go, "Come over for dinner. Let me bring you dinner." And I didn't have food, and I would say, "No, thank you," because I didn't want him to feel I'm broke.
Too proud.
So
You don't
uh,
waste the extra gas in the car.
Yeah.
so the biggest challenge I had in my life was my anger issue with the things were not acceptable to me.
Mm,
So when somebody kick a dog, I was at their
Yeah,
face.
that's an interesting thing,
mm,
guys, because
mhm.
I've only known Bobby as an adult, and I met him when I was 18 years old, back in 2006, and he's always been a nice, put together, caring, passionate individual. But from what you're telling us, that wasn't always the case.
No, I seriously, that's the reason I got out of the shelter a couple times. They got thrown out of the shelters. One of the captains called me Pitbull.
Mm,
So many times I had a challenge of dealing with seven homeless person. They were abusing their dog and laughing about it, and they were drunk, and I'm in the
Mm,
middle. And I'm not a big guy,
mhm,
and for some reason I could be able to take that dog and take him to the hospital,
mhm,
and they backed off, which they didn't want to do that. So my anger issue was my biggest challenge of my life.
mm,
And even my parents, they wouldn't sit in the car with me, or they wouldn't go to, my sisters wouldn't go to public that much with me, because one little thing would trigger, I was out right in front of it. And my dad always says, Bobby, one of these days you're going to have a bullet between your eyes.
mm,
So don't be stupid.
mm,
But it took me a long time to be able to uh, control myself from being frustrated to be aggressive.
mhm.
okay.
And I think I did a very, very good job, based on I dealt with so many different people which I want to break their neck, and I
Yep.
smile at them.
Yep.
You know, can I ask you this? And if you know, and you don't have to answer this if you
Sure.
don't want to. So I want to ask you this right now, and I'll explain why when I'm done with the question. Okay. So how how did you work on yourself in that sense? And here's the reason why I ask you that, because not only just me personally, have I learned over the years that personal flaws, they hold you back in your goals so much. Even if dog training and rescues and things like that, they're more like professional as opposed to like your own personal life. It's insane how you get in your own way. I've seen that myself. In fact, one of the big things in my life that I regret still was kind of how I left things with you guys. You know, I don't know how long ago that was now. You know, um, and it was just an embarrassing moment for me because like I knew better even at the time, but I don't know, it was just this weird period of weakness, and I've since worked on myself too, and I realized like, man, it's insane. And all these other people again who I meet, business people and successful people in whatever field, athletics, you know, they understand the value of working on yourself and how good it is and how necessary it is, but it's not that easy. So how'd you do it?
Well, again, I learn a lot from my dogs.
Okay.
I knew I have an aggression issue. I knew I was an angry kid. Based up the way I was raised, I was separated. My parents were separated when I was 5 years old. So I
Mhm,
lived with my dad. My dad, army background, high school principal in a very, very bad neighborhood. And those
mhm.
days, hitting kids was a good thing.
Mhm.
It was
So,
mandatory, actually.
it's seriously, you got to straight them up.
Mhm, mhm,
So I grew up as a very strict, but also was very angry at life because I felt I didn't get that motherly passion and holding me and letting me everything is going to be okay.
Mhm,
We're dealing with a father which is so strict, loving me, but is so strict about every angle, to a point, if you go out, you get in the fight, if you come back and cry, I'm going to beat you up.
mhm,
So if you cannot handle it, don't get in the fight.
mhm,
Okay, so that's the mentality of a very proud father.
mhm.
Okay, and I always been very little. I mean, I was adult, I was 125 pounds and a 5'8",
Yeah.
so skin and bone. So what happened, every time I got angry, I would break things, I get pissed off, but to release it, I would get behind the car and I would drive off. I wouldn't deal with anybody. I would want to go somewhere quiet. The problem was, oh my God, if somebody cut me off. Now there's a bigger
Mm,
challenge,
mhm,
because
mhm,
mhm,
I'm very angry and that person needs to get pulled off, and I need to go out and I need to beat the shit out of him
mhm,
or push him off the freeway. I mean,
mhm,
that was my anger level. So most of the time I would drive, go by the beach, and I would sit down and I just relax. Okay. Then I realized how fucked up I was.
mm,
Why did I do this? It wasn't any reason for me to throw the TV from the balcony down because I had an argument with my sister. You know
mhm,
what I mean?
mhm,
So, what actually helped me, I was walking with a girlfriend in 30th Street Promenade with my Roddies.
Mhm.
Now, my Roddies under command will attack. My Roddies, if they feel I'm physically involved, they will attack. And I'm in the very high traffic area, but they are sweet as a pie.
Mhm.
Take the
Mhm.
ball out of their mouth.
Mhm.
But they were trained that way.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm walking, and behind me, this crazy homeless guy comes over and poke my dogs. So my dog turned around and started growling at the guy, and the guy started spitting at my dogs.
Oh.
So the first thing I do, I take my watch and my glasses off.
Mhm.
And I told the guy to back off before I knock him down.
Mm.
Then I realize the moment I touch this guy, my dogs will kill him
Mhm.
and my dogs will be put to sleep.
Mm.
So if you imagine what I had to go through to control myself, not to beat the hell out of this guy, just because I had to hold on to my dogs.
Mhm.
So I walked to the cops. I told the cops what's going on. They didn't give a damn. And I end up walking away from the situation. My girlfriend goes, I'm very, very proud of you. So you can control yourself. Then I realized actually I'm strong enough to control myself.
Mm. That was a virtue.
So
Yeah.
I just clicked. Seriously, it clicked. I did not kill this guy.
Yeah.
But if my dogs were not there, maybe I wouldn't have any kind of a situation with this guy. Maybe I would.
Mhm.
Okay. But because of my dog, my anger level went to the extreme.
Mhm.
To a point again, I took my watch off, put them in my pocket, take my glasses, and to my girlfriend, and I'm ready to say, hold on to these dogs. But I knew she would not going to be able to control my dog the
Mhm.
moment I get physical with this guy.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I had to back off, back off, back off. And my dog growling and showing teeth, and this guy just coming towards me and coming towards me.
Right.
So, and that was the time I realized I can. And from that moment on, everything has started getting better.
Yeah,
Start
it's interesting because a lot of people, not a lot of people, I've heard a couple people say this, "You have to do the thing to have the power." And I liken that to, I have, like, just in my family, let's say, because 'cause I'm a really small guy too, by the way, um, is, every New Year, let's say, like, my sisters would be like, "Okay, I wanna start working out. This is the year. I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna blah, blah, blah." And so they buy all the stuff, all the workout clothes, all the memberships and everything else, and then they just never do it,
Of
you know?
course, I've done
But
it.
and the reason what I've heard about this, because I do and did, even, like, back when we were all working together, was a lot of the, fighting sports, boxing was my big thing back then, and I train to this day, but I do a lot of, like, jujitsu now. And the thing about that is it sucks getting hit a lot. So, even if you love the sport and have fun, sometimes you wake up and you're like, "I don't really wanna go," and I would look up people online to motivate me to get my ass out of bed and go. And one person I found in particular was like, "Listen, all these people that do," and he was explaining my sisters, you buy all the stuff, you get yourself ready, you buy the fanciest gear, $200 gloves when I'm making 10 bucks an hour because you think it's going to put you in this mentality to where now you can do it, but you don't get that energy until you do the thing that earns you that energy. So that's why he was saying you have to do the thing to have the power. Go to the gym with those shitty ass gloves, and then when you get momentum going, go buy you some nice ones.
Yeah.
I'm with you because since 5, I've been in martial art, and I was very little. And when I was at Air Force, I went to Air Force Academy after high school.
You were in the Air Force, Bobby?
Yes, for 3 years and 2 years of army back home.
Okay.
So I was very strong. I was little, but I was one of those guys people knew they should not get involved with at the same time. Okay. And I remember at a very young age, that's how I learned to be stronger in public. I was standing by the bus stop, and this guy bigger than me jumped out and stepped on my toes. And I told him, "Hey, watch out." And this guy surprised the hell out of me and beat the shit out of me. I mean,
Mm,
I had black eye, I had a fat lip. And I learned from that moment on, will always be defensive as well. But if you have the power, don't start anything.
mhm,
And I controlled myself on that point. My problem was when I was getting angry. and that's why
Mhm.
I brought him up. Anytime I see somebody abusing their dogs, that was my trigger. I could not control
Mm.
You know,
because I would just go right in. I would go front of that dog, and I knew if the guy will start kicking, I will grab him.
right.
So that was mine till my dog taught me a little bit differently.
You know,
Okay.
it's funny because the way that you're explaining that sounds to me like the way that I explain, high drivey dogs. It's
Yeah.
like they're very their nature is good. All that nonsense that you hear about whatever breeds and everything like that, they're not bad animals. They're not out to get you. They're capable of love. They're capable of all these things. It's just when they get excited, they do stupid things. It doesn't
That,
make them bad. It's just excitement can be dangerous, you
I
know?
guess I was a high drive dog one in the other life.
Yeah. What kind would you be? Would you be a Malinois? Would you be a pit
Probably I was
bull?
a Jack Russell.
Jack Russell Terrier. Yeah,
Probably I was a
that's
Jack Russell.
that's about right.
Yeah, I would say I was a Jack Russell Terrier. Small body and had no clue what the hell is going on.